The fondest, most touching memory for me was we were calving one of the dairy cows years and years ago, and I was only a young lad and I was sort of learning all about it with my dad, and it was such a difficult calving that I've never seen it before in my life. But we pulled the calf round in front of the cow, and whether she actually had tears in her eyes, but I've never seen an animal cry, and it genuinely looked like this cow was just so relieved to have had the calf, and she actually had a tear in her eye, and I've never forgotten it. But it was a really strange but lovely moment for me as a young lad growing up on the farm. When the farm first started in 1915, it was a totally mixed farm. It had about 70 acres of crops and corn and all the arable farming that one would imagine you could do, ranging from potatoes right through to wheat, barley and oats, etc. We had pigs, we had a large group of hens. We used to sell eggs in the village. They used to produce milk and sell that in the village. Everything that you imagine on any farm, it had everything. The dairy industry really wasn't making a lot of money. So we went from making 50 pence for a litre of milk in 1980 to 15 pence for a litre of milk sold off farm when we finished producing milk in about 2003. So it just made good sense to use the opportunity to change from the dairy to the beef. Because the farm was owned two ways between my father and my uncle. When my uncle died and my cousins just wanted the money, whether we like it or not, we had to sell the actual main farm buildings. We held back the barn that's just been knocked down for as long as possible so we could actually carry on farming. But having now got a new barn at the field, that area became vacant, and that was the last little bit of land that my cousins owned, and so therefore they pushed us, and now they've sold it, and what we now are left with is what myself and my brother actually own. In all honesty, I don't like the idea about any of our cattle being sold and being eaten. But obviously I enjoy eating meat, so I'll be a bit of a twit to say I'm going to suddenly go vegetarian or whatever. But I like to think that we give them a good life on the farm, and especially with the calves living with the mothers, etc. And it's just, I don't know, it's a strange, I do it, we do produce animals that go for meat, but I don't like the idea and the thought of that animal being killed. But it's part of life in a way. There's a big difference in the work commitment to farming. The dairy farming, I used to get up at 5:30 in the morning, start milking around 6 by the time you got the cows in and sorted. It used to take 2 to 3 hours milking, depending on how the cows behaved, etc, etc. And then the afternoon milking, 5 o'clock, get in the house finished and done about 8. So we did that every day, 7 days a week, whereas the beef breeding and rearing is totally different. It's so much easier, especially with the mums rearing their own calves. I mean, the actual 100% commitment, the commitment we have for the beef is roughly, on average, about 3 hours a day. Obviously there are days when you have to put more time in, but an average of 3 hours a day is just no comparison at all. It's so much easier. The future of British farming, I think there's two sides of that answer to that. Is to make money, the farmers on the big business farmers, the ones that are treating it like a small industry with large numbers, etc., they will always make money just by the sheer volume and number. But I think the likes of us with only 90-acre farm, it's a hobby that pays for itself and puts some money in our back pocket. And it's a lifestyle that there will be people like us that will always do it, but it won't be a way of making money. It will be a way of living a lifestyle that is thoroughly enjoyed by myself and the family around me. What's enjoyable about farming? Well, it's a strange but a good question. It's a lifestyle that I've done right from birth, quite literally, because you know, even as a little toddler, I was out and about on the farm with my dad, and it's just something that is in the blood. And in all honesty, like my dad said to me years and years ago, when the day I left school is the day I retired. I quite simply started doing what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and that's to care and look after animals and farm.